There's something happening right now that your logical mind keeps trying to dismiss, but your soul knows better. You felt it, that inexplicable pull, that sudden warmth that floods your chest when their name crosses your mind. Maybe you've been telling yourself it's just nostalgia, just wishful thinking, just your heart playing tricks on you. But what if I told you that what you're sensing isn't your imagination at all? What if I told you that God is orchestrating something so beautiful, so perfectly timed, that when you finally understand the reason behind this reunion, the tears will come, not from pain, but from the overwhelming recognition of divine love working on your behalf? Listen, I need you to really hear what I'm about to share with you, because this isn't about false hope or empty promises. This is about what's actively unfolding in the spiritual realm right now. God is bringing you two back together, and the reason isn't what you think. It's not because you've both changed just enough to make it work this time. It's not because enough time has passed. It's not because you've finally become worthy of each other. The reason is so much deeper, so much more profound, that when the full picture reveals itself, you'll understand that everything, every painful separation, every lonely night, every moment you thought you'd never heal, was part of a love story being written by hands far wiser than your own. Your love isn't perfect because it's flawless. Your love is perfect because it's yours. Because it was designed specifically for the two souls you are, with all your quirks and wounds and beautiful broken places that somehow fit together like pieces of a cosmic puzzle. And God is reuniting you now because both of you have finally arrived at the place where you can receive the fullness of what this love was always meant to be. If you're here watching this, it's not an accident. Something in your spirit recognized the truth in this title before your mind could talk you out of clicking. You're here because you've been feeling the shift. You've been sensing the movement. And you need confirmation that what you're experiencing is real. So let me offer you this: your intuition brought you here because you're ready to understand what's been happening behind the scenes of your life. Before we go deeper, if this message is already touching something tender in your heart, would you drop a heart emoji in the comments? Not for me, but as an acknowledgement to yourself that you're open to receiving what's coming. Sometimes that simple act of engagement becomes a prayer in itself, a way of saying yes to what God is orchestrating. Let's talk about what you've been experiencing lately, because I know it hasn't been easy to articulate, even to yourself. There are moments, maybe you're in the middle of a conversation with someone new, someone who checks all the boxes, someone who should make you feel excited, and instead, there's this hollow feeling. Your smile is genuine enough, but underneath it, there's a knowing. A quiet voice that whispers, "This isn't it. This isn't them." And you've probably felt guilty about that, haven't you? You've probably wondered why you can't just move on, why you can't just invest fully in what's in front of you, why your heart keeps returning to someone who isn't even in your life anymore. Or maybe it shows up differently for you. Maybe you're going about your daily routine, responding to work emails, cooking dinner, scrolling through your phone, and suddenly you're hit with a wave of emotion so strong it stops you in your tracks. Not quite sadness, not quite longing, but something that feels like remembering. Like your soul is remembering something your conscious mind can't quite access. In those moments, you might feel their presence so strongly it's almost like they're standing right next to you. You might find yourself wondering if they're thinking about you at the exact same moment. And here's what I need you to understand: they are. This isn't random. This isn't your mind playing tricks on you. What you're experiencing is the spiritual cord between you two beginning to vibrate with new energy. God is preparing both of your hearts simultaneously, and what you're feeling is the resonance of that preparation. They're going through their own version of this. In moments when they should be fully present with their life, they find themselves thinking about you. They might be listening to someone else talk, but your voice is echoing in their memory. They might be physically in one place, but emotionally, they're being drawn back to moments you shared. I'm sensing for some of you that there's been a specific trigger lately. Maybe a song came on that was your song, or you drove past a place that holds memories, or someone said something that reminded you of an inside joke you shared. And it wasn't just nostalgic, it felt prophetic, like the universe was trying to get your attention. Like you were being shown something: this connection isn't over. The story isn't finished. There are chapters yet to be written. For others watching this, the experience has been more subtle but no less powerful. You've been dreaming about them. Not every night, but consistently enough that you can't dismiss it. And these aren't just random dreams, they feel like visitations, like communications. You wake up with a feeling you can't quite shake, like something was being worked out while you slept, like agreements were being made in the spiritual realm that your conscious mind isn't privy to yet. Some of you have noticed that you've stopped talking about them with the same bitterness or resignation. There was a time when their name brought up all the hurt, all the disappointment, all the reasons it couldn't work. But lately, when you think of them, there's something softer happening. You're remembering the good more than the bad. You're seeing them with more compassion, more understanding. You're recognizing that they were doing the best they could with the awareness they had at the time. And that's softening. That's not you being weak or slipping backward. That's God preparing your heart to receive them differently. Here's what's really happening: God is removing the barriers. All the pride, all the ego, all the wounds that were blocking the pathway between your hearts, they're being healed, dissolved, transformed. Both of you are being taken through an individual journey that's preparing you for a collective reunion. You're each learning things alone that you'll need to know together. You're each healing parts of yourself that were causing friction in the relationship. You're each becoming more of who you were always meant to be, so that when you come back together, it won't be as the same two people who separated, it'll be as evolved versions of yourselves, ready for the love you've always deserved. And I need you to understand something crucial: this separation wasn't a punishment. It was a preparation. It wasn't God taking away your blessing, it was God protecting it. Your connection was too precious, too significant, too destiny-marked to let it continue on the trajectory it was on. So God, in infinite wisdom, orchestrated a season of separation so that both of you could become the people capable of sustaining the love you share. If what I'm describing resonates with your experience, type "preparing" in the comments. Let that word be your declaration that you trust the process God has been walking you through. Now let's go deeper into why this is happening now. Because timing is everything, and the fact that you're feeling this pull so intensely right now isn't coincidental, it's cosmically coordinated. God doesn't reunite people on our timeline. God reunites people on heaven's timeline. And heaven's timeline is always about readiness, not just wanting. You might have wanted this reunion 6 months ago, a year ago, maybe you've wanted it since the day you separated. But wanting and being ready are two entirely different things. And what's happening now is that both of you have crossed a threshold of readiness that you hadn't reached before. Let me paint a picture of what this readiness looks like. For you, there's been a shift in how you view yourself. Maybe you've spent the time apart discovering parts of yourself you'd lost in the relationship. Maybe you've built a life that feels full and meaningful even without them in it. Maybe you've healed old wounds that were causing you to show up in ways that weren't authentic to who you really are. There's been a reclamation of self, a coming home to your own soul. And paradoxically, it's in that place of wholeness, of not needing them to complete you, that you've become ready to receive them as a complement to your completeness. You're not the same person who entered that relationship, and you're not even the same person who left it. You've been through fire. You've been refined. The things that used to trigger you don't have the same power anymore. The patterns you used to fall into have been disrupted and rewired. You've learned to love yourself in ways that were impossible before. You've set boundaries you couldn't set before. You've found your voice in places where you used to stay silent. You've chosen yourself in ways that once felt selfish but now feel sacred. And they're going through their own version of this transformation. Don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to reveal about their journey will help you understand why the separation had to happen exactly the way it did. They've been on a parallel path of awakening. Maybe they needed to experience what life felt like without you to understand what they had. Maybe they needed to try other connections to realize that what you shared wasn't common, wasn't replaceable, wasn't something they could find with anyone else. Maybe they needed to face themselves, their fears, their patterns, their ways of self-sabotaging, without being able to hide behind the relationship. The separation forced them into a confrontation with themselves that was necessary for their growth. And here's what's been happening in their inner world: they've been coming to terms with what they lost. Not just you as a person, but the potential of what you two created together. The safety, the understanding, the way you saw them when no one else did. They've been realizing that what they walked away from, or what they caused you to walk away from, was the most real thing they'd ever had. And that realization has been breaking them open in ways that are painful but necessary. They're seeing their role in what went wrong. They're owning their part. They're not blaming you for everything anymore. They're looking in the mirror and seeing their own patterns, their own fears, their own shortcomings. And this level of accountability is new for them. This level of self-awareness is something they didn't have access to when you were together. But it's emerging now, and it's changing everything about how they understand love, relationships, and what they want moving forward. I'm feeling strongly that for many watching this, there's been a specific shift in their energy that you've picked up on, even if you haven't had direct contact. Maybe a mutual friend mentioned something that indicated they've changed. Maybe you saw something on social media that seemed different from their usual pattern. Maybe you just felt it energetically, that subtle but unmistakable sense that they're not the same person they were. Trust that knowing. Your soul is reading information your mind can't quantify. But here's the part that's going to leave you in tears when you fully grasp it: God didn't just separate you to change you both individually. God separated you to protect what you have together. Your love was real, but it wasn't ready. It was authentic, but it wasn't mature. It was powerful, but it wasn't sustainable in the form it was taking. There were patterns that would have eventually destroyed what you were building. There were wounds that would have continued hurting each other. There were ways of loving that, while genuine, weren't healthy or whole. So God, seeing the preciousness of your connection, seeing the destiny woven into your union, seeing the purpose you two are meant to fulfill together, God made a call that felt cruel at the time but was actually the ultimate act of love. God said, "I'm not letting this beautiful thing destroy itself. I'm not letting these two souls damage each other beyond repair. I'm going to interrupt this, even though it will hurt, because I love them too much to let them settle for a diminished version of what I designed for them." The separation was divine intervention. It was God stepping in and saying, "Not yet. Not like this. Both of you need to become more before you can build what I've envisioned for you. And now, after all the growing, all the healing, all the becoming, you're both finally ready." The reunion isn't happening because enough time has passed. It's happening because enough transformation has happened. If you're starting to see the bigger picture of why things unfolded the way they did, and if it's bringing up emotion, would you type, "I see it now," in the comments? Sometimes naming our recognition helps seal it in our hearts. This is where we need to talk about the perfection of your love, because I know that word might sound strange given everything you've been through. How can a love that involved so much pain be perfect? How can a connection that required separation be perfect? But stay with me here, this is the turning point where everything starts to make sense. Your love is perfect not because it's been easy, but because it's been true. Perfection in the spiritual sense doesn't mean flawless, it means complete, whole, fulfilling its intended purpose. And the purpose of your love was never just to make you happy, though happiness is part of it. The purpose of your love was to transform you, to challenge you, to reveal parts of yourself you didn't know existed, to break you open so you could be rebuilt stronger and more authentic. Every love serves a purpose. Some loves come to teach us what we don't want. Some loves come to heal old wounds. Some loves come as brief, beautiful moments that remind us we're capable of connection. But the love between you two, it's different. It's bigger. It's the kind of love that comes with an assignment attached to it. It's covenant love. It's purpose-driven love. It's love that exists not just for your individual joy but for something you're meant to do together, something you're meant to build together, some light you're meant to shine together. And that's why the stakes were so high. That's why the separation had to happen the way it did. That's why the healing had to be so thorough. Because you're not being prepared just to get back together and be happy, you're being prepared to fulfill a joint calling that requires both of you to be operating from your highest, most healed, most authentic selves. Let me tell you what God has been doing while you've been apart. God has been building a foundation strong enough to hold what's coming. Because when you two reunite, it's not going to be casual. It's not going to be tentative. It's going to be powerful, purposeful, and permanent. But that level of connection requires a level of internal strength and clarity that neither of you had before. God has been teaching you, individually, what unconditional love feels like by loving you through this entire process. Every moment you felt alone, you weren't. Every night you cried yourself to sleep, you were being held. Every time you thought you couldn't go on, you were being carried. God has been showing you, through direct experience, what it means to be loved without condition, without performance, without earning it. And that experiential knowledge of divine love is changing how you understand human love. You're learning that love doesn't require you to diminish yourself. You're learning that love doesn't ask you to betray your own needs. You're learning that real love celebrates your growth, even when that growth feels threatening. You're learning that love can be fierce and tender at the same time. You're learning that love strong enough to let someone go is the same love strong enough to welcome them back transformed. And they're learning these things too. They're discovering what it means to love beyond their own fear. They're understanding that control isn't love, that possession isn't love, that needing someone isn't the same as loving them. They're learning to love with open hands instead of clenched fists. They're learning that the person they love deserves their best self, not their broken self. They're learning that love is a practice, a choice, a daily commitment, not just a feeling that comes and goes. This next part is important, so stay present with me. What's about to unfold in your life isn't just about romantic reunion. It's about witnessing the power of redemption, transformation, and divine timing. It's about seeing that nothing you've been through was wasted. Every tear watered seeds that are about to bloom. Every moment of loneliness taught you how to be comfortable in your own presence. Every disappointment refined your understanding of what you truly need and deserve. The reason this reunion is going to leave you in tears is because when you see them again, really see them, not the version you've been holding in your memory but the version they've become, you're going to recognize that God was working on them the entire time you were apart. You're going to see evidence of their growth in their eyes, in how they speak, in how they carry themselves. You're going to feel the difference in their energy. And you're going to know, without a shadow of doubt, that this time is different because they are different, and you are different, and together you're about to step into something you couldn't have accessed before. The tears will come because you'll finally understand that every prayer you prayed was heard. Every plea you whispered in the darkness reached the ears of a God who was already orchestrating the answer. You'll realize that what felt like abandonment was actually preparation. What felt like punishment was actually protection. What felt like an ending was actually a necessary pause before a more beautiful beginning. You're going to cry because you'll see, in undeniable clarity, that your love story is bigger than you thought. It has more chapters than you knew. It has divine authorship woven through every page. And the reunion that's coming isn't just about you two finding your way back to each other, it's about both of you finding your way to the truth of who you've always been meant to be, together. For those of you who've been supported by these messages and feel moved to contribute, there's a super thanks button below this video. Your support allows me to dedicate time to creating these deep, spirit-led messages. Only give if you feel genuinely blessed by what you're receiving. Your prayers and presence here are gifts enough. Now, let's talk about what happens next, because understanding the spiritual mechanics of this reunion will help you cooperate with what God is doing rather than resist it or rush it. The reunion is coming, but there's a way to move through this season that will honor both the process and the outcome. Let me share some principles that will serve you as this unfolds. First, stay rooted in your own wholeness. This is crucial. The temptation, now that you sense the reunion coming, will be to shift back into waiting mode, into holding your breath mode, into organizing your life around their return mode. Don't do that. The entire point of the separation was to help you build a life that feels full and meaningful on its own. Don't abandon that now. Keep investing in yourself. Keep pursuing your goals. Keep nurturing your friendships. Keep doing the things that make you feel alive. When they return, and they will, you need to be standing in your own power, not waiting at the door like you've been holding your breath this whole time. The reunion will be healthier, stronger, and more sustainable if you meet them as a whole person meeting another whole person, not as a half person desperate to be completed. Your wholeness isn't a barrier to your reunion, it's the prerequisite for the kind of reunion that will actually last. So don't compromise the work you've done on yourself in anticipation of their return. Trust that your groundedness will be part of what makes the reunion beautiful. Second, release the timeline. I know you want to know when. I know you're looking for signs, trying to calculate, wondering if it's days or weeks or months. But here's the truth, the timeline is in God's hands, and your job isn't to figure it out, your job is to trust it. Every time you try to force the timing or manipulate the circumstances to make it happen sooner, you're actually slowing down the process, because you're operating from fear and control rather than faith and surrender. The reunion will happen when both of you are genuinely ready, and ready is determined by internal shifts, not external circumstances. It's determined by healing milestones, consciousness thresholds, spiritual alignments, things that can't be rushed or faked. So instead of obsessing over when, focus on now. Be present in your life as it is today. Do the next right thing in front of you. Let God handle the orchestration of the reunion, because the same God who's been faithful to you through the separation is faithful enough to bring you back together at the perfect moment. Third, prepare yourself emotionally for a different kind of reunion than you're imagining. It's not going to be like a movie scene where you run toward each other in slow motion and everything is instantly perfect. It might be awkward at first. It might be tentative. You've both changed, and you'll need time to get to know the new versions of each other. There might be conversations that need to happen, truths that need to be spoken, apologies that need to be offered and received. Don't expect it to be seamless, expect it to be real. And that realness is actually what will make it beautiful. You're not returning to an idealized fantasy of the relationship. You're stepping into a mature, grounded, eyes wide open version of the relationship. You're coming together with awareness of each other's humanity, with compassion for each other's journey, with commitment to doing the work that real love requires. That's infinitely more valuable than a fairy tale reunion that glosses over reality. So when the reunion starts to unfold, whether it's a text message, a phone call, a chance encounter, or a planned meeting, give it space to be messy and real. Give yourself permission to feel nervous. Give them permission to be uncertain. Give the process permission to unfold at its own pace. You're not trying to recreate what you had, you're creating something entirely new from all the pieces of who you've both become. Fourth, trust your discernment. Just because God is orchestrating this reunion doesn't mean you check your wisdom at the door. You've learned things during this separation. You've developed boundaries. You've clarified your non-negotiables. You've identified patterns that don't work for you. Don't abandon all of that the moment they reappear in your life. The reunion is an invitation, not a command. It's an opportunity, not an obligation. As it unfolds, you get to assess whether the changes you're seeing in them are genuine and sustainable. You get to move at a pace that feels safe for your heart. You get to ask questions. You get to require evidence of transformation, not just promises of change. You get to be wisely cautious while also being openly hopeful. This doesn't mean approaching them with suspicion or cynicism. It means approaching them with loving discernment, holding space for both their potential and your protection. It means celebrating their growth while also making sure that growth is real and not just performed to win you back. It means honoring both the pull of your heart and the wisdom of your experience. Fifth, be willing to have the hard conversations. For this reunion to work, transparency is non-negotiable. You'll need to talk about what happened. You'll need to share what you learned. You'll need to express what you need going forward. And you'll need to do all of this without blame, without trying to win, without making them wrong for the past. The point isn't to rehash old wounds, it's to ensure they're actually healed before you move forward. These conversations might be uncomfortable, but discomfort isn't the same as harm. Actually, the willingness to sit in discomfort together, to be honest even when it's hard, to be vulnerable even when it's scary, is what will create the foundation for something lasting. If you can navigate these conversations with maturity, respect, and genuine desire to understand each other, you'll know you're both ready for what comes next. Sixth, let the relationship build naturally. Even though your souls recognize each other, even though the connection has always been there, you're essentially starting fresh in some ways. Don't rush into the intensity you had before. Let this version of your relationship have its own beginning, its own pace, its own unfolding. Go on dates. Have long conversations. Rediscover each other. Laugh together. Create new memories alongside the old ones. This isn't about playing games or pretending you don't have history. It's about honoring the new people you've become by giving yourself space to build a new dynamic. The foundation is there, the love, the connection, the understanding, but the structure you're building on that foundation should reflect who you are now, not who you were before. Seventh, involve God in the process. Pray together. Seek wisdom together. Acknowledge the divine hand that's been guiding you back to each other. Make your relationship a three-chord strand, with God woven into the center of it. This isn't about being religious, it's about recognizing that the love you share has spiritual significance and inviting the source of that love to remain active in how you nurture it. When challenges come, and they will, because every relationship has them, you'll have a resource beyond just your own understanding. You'll be able to seek divine guidance together. You'll be able to pray through misunderstandings. You'll be able to trust that the same God who reunited you will continue to guide you through whatever comes next. If these principles are landing in your spirit and you're feeling equipped for what's coming, would you type "ready" in the comments? Let that be your declaration that you're prepared to receive this reunion with wisdom, grace, and grounded hope. So here's where we are: God is reuniting you too, and the reason is going to overwhelm you with the beauty of it. The reason is that your love was always meant to be. The reason is that you were always meant to find each other, lose each other, and find each other again, because that journey was how you both became people capable of sustaining what you have together. The reason is that your story is meant to be a testimony to the power of divine timing, redemptive love, and transformation. You're going to cry when you understand that every moment of pain was purposeful. Every tear was an investment in something beautiful. Every lonely night was teaching you to be comfortable in your own presence so you could show up fully in partnership. Every disappointment was refining your understanding of what real love looks like so you wouldn't settle for less than what you deserve. You're going to cry when you see how much they've changed, how much you've changed, how much grace has been at work in both of your lives. You're going to cry when you realize that the love you thought you'd lost was actually being perfected, not destroyed. You're going to cry when you recognize that God loved you too much to let you settle for the version of the relationship that wasn't built to last. And those tears, they won't be tears of regret or sorrow. They'll be tears of recognition. Tears of gratitude. Tears of relief that you didn't have to figure this out on your own, that there was a wisdom guiding you that was greater than your understanding. They'll be tears of joy that the waiting is over, that the season of separation served its purpose, that you're both finally ready for what comes next. Your love is perfect because it's resilient. Because it survived separation. Because it grew through distance. Because it refused to die even when circumstances suggested it should. Because both of you kept coming back to it in your hearts even when you tried to move on. Because the connection between you is soul deep, destiny marked, purpose driven. Your love is perfect because it's uniquely yours, designed for the specific souls you are, with all your complexities and contradictions and beautiful imperfections. It's not perfect by anyone else's standards, and it doesn't need to be. It's perfect by the only standard that matters, it's what's true for you. As we close, I want you to sit with this truth: you haven't been foolish for holding on to hope. You haven't been naive for believing this connection wasn't over. You haven't been weak for wanting them back. Your heart has been reading something real this entire time. Your soul has been sensing something true. And now that truth is about to manifest in your physical reality in ways you can see, touch, and experience. The reunion is coming because it's time. Because you're ready. Because they're ready. Because God's plan for your love is finally aligning with where you both are in your individual journeys. And when it happens, you're going to look back on this entire journey and see it differently. You're going to see the perfection in the timing. The necessity of the separation. The beauty of the transformation. The faithfulness of the God who never let go of either of you. For those who've been deeply moved by this message and want to support this ministry, there's a super thanks option below. Your generosity allows me to continue creating these spirit-led videos that speak truth and encouragement over your journey. Give only if you feel called. Your presence here and your open heart are already blessings. Before you go, I want to leave you with this: stay soft. Stay open. Stay trusting. The reunion might not look exactly like you've pictured it, but it will be exactly what you need. It will be real, grounded, and built to last. It will honor the journey you've both been on. It will celebrate the people you've become. And it will open up a future you couldn't have accessed if you'd stayed who you were. Your love story isn't ending, it's just beginning the chapter you've been preparing for all along. The chapter where you both finally get to show up as your authentic selves, where you both get to love from wholeness instead of need, where you both get to build something that reflects the truth of who you are and what you're meant to do together. God is reuniting you two. Not because the relationship was perfect before, but because you've both been perfected through the process. Not because you couldn't live without each other, but because you've learned to live fully on your own and now you get to choose each other from that place of wholeness. Not because the story is over, but because the best chapter is about to begin. And when you finally understand the full scope of what God has been doing, when you see the orchestration, the timing, the transformation, the protection, the preparation, the tears will flow. Not tears of pain, but tears of recognition. Tears that say, I see it now. I understand. And I'm grateful beyond words. Your reunion is closer than you think. Your healing is nearly complete. Your season of separation is about to give way to a season of joyful reconnection. And your love, your beautiful, resilient, destiny-marked love, is about to get the chance it always deserved. Stay grounded in your journey. Trust the process. Know that what's coming is worth every moment of the wait. And prepare your heart to receive the reunion that's been written in the stars since before you ever met. If this message blessed you, if it spoke directly to what you've been feeling, if it gave you hope and confirmation and peace, would you do two things for me? First, share it with someone who needs to hear this. Your willingness to pass this along might be exactly what someone in your life has been praying for. Second, drop a word of encouragement in the comments, either for yourself or for others walking this journey with you. Let's create a space of collective support and faith. You're going to be okay. Actually, you're going to be better than okay. You're going to be walking in the fullness of a love that was worth fighting for, waiting for, and transforming for. Your perfect love is on its way back to you, and when it arrives, you'll know exactly why everything happened the way it did. Trust the reunion that's coming. Trust the love that never left. Trust the God who's been orchestrating all of this with wisdom, tenderness, and perfect timing. Your tears of recognition are coming soon. And they're going to be beautiful. And so, my beautiful friend, we've arrived at the moment where I need to send you back into your life with something powerful to hold on to. Because this isn't just another video you watched, this is a prophetic word spoken directly over your situation, over your heart, over the love that's finding its way back to you. Right now, as you're hearing these words, I want you to place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That steady rhythm. It's been carrying hope through every dark night. It's been holding faith through every moment of doubt. It's been keeping the door open even when your mind tried to close it. Your heart knew something your head couldn't comprehend: this love wasn't finished. This story had more to tell. This connection was too sacred, too destined, too divinely orchestrated to end in separation. And your heart was right. Every single thing you've been sensing, every pull, every knowing, every moment where you felt their presence even though they weren't physically there, it was all real. You weren't imagining it. You weren't creating false hope. You were reading the spiritual realm accurately. You were picking up on the movement of God's hand in your situation. You were sensing the reunion before it manifested, the way you can feel rain coming before the first drop falls. This is your confirmation. This is your sign. This is heaven saying, yes, child. What you've been feeling is true. What you've been hoping for is coming. What you've been praying about has been heard, honored, and is now being answered in ways that will exceed your expectations. The reunion that's coming isn't just about getting back together, it's about stepping into the destiny that's been waiting for both of you. It's about fulfilling a purpose that requires your combined energy, your united vision, your partnership. You two together create something that neither of you can create alone. There's a frequency you hit when you're aligned that opens doors, shifts atmospheres, creates possibilities. And the world needs what you two carry together. That's why the enemy fought so hard to keep you apart. That's why there was so much confusion, so much pain, so much chaos around your connection. Darkness always attacks what threatens it, and your love, your reunited, healed, powerful love, is a threat to every force that thrives on division, hopelessness, and broken relationships. When you two come back together, you're not just reclaiming your personal happiness, you're making a statement to the spiritual realm that love wins, that healing is possible, that redemption is real. So as you step away from this message and back into your daily life, I want you to walk differently. Walk like someone who knows what's coming. Walk like someone who's been given a glimpse of the future and it's beautiful. Walk like someone who trusts the process even when they can't see the full picture. Walk like someone who's loved by God and being guided into blessing. Don't obsess over the timing. Don't anxiously watch for signs. Don't manipulate circumstances trying to make it happen faster. Just live. Just grow. Just be present in each moment, knowing that the divine orchestration is happening whether you're monitoring it or not. The reunion will unfold in perfect timing, and when it does, you'll understand why it couldn't have happened any sooner. In the meantime, be grateful. Be grateful for the separation that made you stronger. Be grateful for the loneliness that taught you how to be your own companion. Be grateful for the heartbreak that cracked you open so more love could pour in. Be grateful for the journey that transformed you from who you were into who you're becoming. Be grateful that you serve a God who loves you enough to perfect what matters most to you. And when they come back, when you see them again, when you hear their voice, when you feel their energy in your space, remember this moment. Remember that you knew it was coming. Remember that your faith held steady even when circumstances looked impossible. Remember that you trusted God's timing even when it felt unbearably slow. Remember that you did the work, you stayed the course, you kept your heart open. The tears are coming, beloved. The beautiful, healing, overwhelming tears of recognition. The tears that wash away years of pain in seconds. The tears that say, thank you, to a God who never forgot about you, never abandoned your story, never stopped working on your behalf. Your perfect love is coming home. And when it arrives, when you're standing in the fullness of what you've been believing for, you're going to understand that every single thing, every tear, every prayer, every lonely night, every moment of transformation, was leading you here. To this reunion. To this healed version of your love. To this new chapter that's about to become the most beautiful one yet. The wait is almost over. The season is shifting. The reunion is at the door. And your love? Your love is, and always has been, absolutely perfect. Now go live like you believe it. Because it's true. Amen.